Welcome to Lotus Light Teachings. In a world where noise and distractions dominate our daily lives, have you ever stopped to wonder about the power of silence? What if silence wasn't just an absence of sound, but a profound force that could transform your life? Today, we embark on a journey to explore the wisdom of stillness and self-focus, an ancient practice that holds the key to clarity, resilience, and ultimate success. As you watch this video, I invite you to pause, take a deep breath, and step into a space of inner reflection. Together, we'll uncover how embracing silence can sharpen your mind, strengthen your spirit, and guide you toward a life of true fulfillment. Let's begin. In today's fast-paced, noisy world, silence is often overlooked, yet it holds immense power. Ancient wisdom from Buddhism teaches us that true success and inner peace stem from mastering the art of silence and self-focus. While the modern world values constant communication, instant reactions, and social validation, the most successful and enlightened individuals have understood that silence is not a void, but a space where true wisdom grows. Imagine living a life where your mind is clear, your emotions are stable, and your focus is unwavering. Instead of being swept away by distractions, you remain centered, drawing strength from within. This guide will explore the transformative power of silence, helping you cultivate inner peace, enhance decision-making, and build a foundation for true success. 1. Reframing silence from emptiness to strength. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable silence can be? You're sitting in a room with someone, and a pause in conversation feels like an awkward void that must be filled. Or maybe, when you're alone, you instinctively reach for your phone, turn on the TV, or play some music, anything to avoid the silence. But have you ever wondered why? Many of us avoid silence because it forces us to confront something deeper, our own thoughts. When the noise fades, we are left alone with ourselves, and for some, that can be unsettling. The mind starts racing, bringing up past regrets, anxieties about the future, or questions we've been avoiding. It's no wonder we seek distractions. But what if, instead of avoiding silence, we embraced it? Why we avoid silence? Discomfort with our own thoughts. Many people find silence intimidating because it brings up unresolved emotions and inner conflicts. Societal conditioning. We live in a world that values constant interaction, making solitude seem unnatural. Fear of insignificance. Some believe that speaking or being noticed equates to importance. Silence, in contrast, can feel like disappearing, transforming silence into a source of power. But here's the secret: silence is not an emptiness to be feared. It's a powerful force that allows us to truly hear ourselves. When we cultivate silence, we create space for clarity, creativity, and deep wisdom to emerge. Think about some of the greatest minds in history: Buddha, Einstein, Da Vinci, and countless others. They all understood the power of stepping away from the noise. Silence gives the mind room to breathe, to connect dots that seemed unrelated, to foster self-awareness, and to make decisions that are not influenced by external noise but guided by inner wisdom. In the modern world, this is more important than ever. With constant notifications, endless streams of content, and the pressure to always be engaged, true stillness has become a rarity. But those who can master it hold a unique advantage. They are the ones who remain calm in chaos, who make decisions with clarity, and who draw strength from within rather than seeking validation from the outside. The story of the silent monk. There's a well-known story of a Zen monk who took a vow of silence for 5 years. During this time, he observed life deeply, studying human nature without the need to speak. He noticed how often people talk just to fill space, how little they truly listen, and how much wisdom is lost in the noise. When his vow ended, and he finally spoke again, every word he said carried immense weight. People listened, not because he spoke loudly or frequently, but because his words came from a place of deep reflection and truth. His silence had transformed him, giving him insight and authority that could never come from simply speaking more. What if we, too, learned to embrace silence in our own way? Not by taking a vow of silence, but by intentionally creating moments of stillness in our lives. Actionable steps to embrace silence. Dedicate 5 to 10 minutes daily to complete silence. Just sit and observe your thoughts without judgment. Take mindful walks without listening to music or engaging with your phone. Let your mind wander and absorb your surroundings. Observe conversations more than you contribute. Listen deeply before responding, and notice how much more you understand when you truly hear what others are saying. Disconnect from digital noise at least once a day. Turn off notifications, put your phone away, and allow yourself to be fully present. 2. Turning loneliness into solitude. Have you ever found yourself in the middle of a crowd yet still felt alone? That kind of loneliness is heavy. It lingers in the background, making us feel disconnected even when we are surrounded by others. But here's something interesting. Solitude and loneliness are not the same. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness, while solitude is a conscious choice, a space we create to reconnect with ourselves. Why we confuse loneliness with solitude. Loneliness whispers that something is missing. It makes us believe that our happiness depends on external company, validation, or distraction. But solitude is powerful. It is the art of enjoying your own presence, of realizing that you are enough. Many of us have been conditioned to associate silence and solitude with sadness. We fear being alone with our thoughts because they reveal things we often try to avoid. But what if, instead of running from solitude, we embraced it? What if we used it as a tool for growth rather than a reminder of what we lack? The transformative power of solitude. Deep self-reflection. Without external distractions, we can truly listen to our inner voice. Building self-reliance. When we learn to be comfortable with ourselves, we become less dependent on external validation. Inner peace. Solitude offers a much-needed break from the chaos, allowing us to recharge mentally and emotionally. A story of solitude. Steve Jobs retreats. Steve Jobs was known for his intense focus and ability to think differently, but few people know about his habit of retreating into solitude. He would escape to nature, away from the demands of business, to reflect, refine his ideas, and allow clarity to emerge. Some of Apple's most groundbreaking innovations were born in these quiet moments, proving that solitude was not an escape. It was an essential part of his creative process. How to cultivate meaningful solitude. Create sacred moments of alone time. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, prioritize time to be with yourself. Practice mindful journaling. Write down your thoughts and emotions without judgment. Reflection brings insight. Spend time in nature. A quiet walk in the park or sitting by a river can be incredibly grounding. Detach from social media. Constant connectivity can be draining. Take breaks to reconnect with yourself. Solitude is not isolation. It is a gift. It is the space where we find clarity, heal, and reconnect with who we truly are. What if, instead of fearing being alone, we saw it as an opportunity to grow? 3. Using silence as a tactical tool. Have you ever noticed how uncomfortable people get when there's a pause in conversation? A moment of silence feels like an empty space they need to fill, words spill out, often without purpose. But what if I told you that those who master silence hold immense power? Not power in a controlling or manipulative sense, but the power to influence, to understand, and to navigate life with wisdom and precision. Silence is often misunderstood as passivity, but in reality, it is an active strategy, a tool that allows you to control conversations, maintain composure, and observe situations more objectively. Instead of being reactive, silence positions you as someone who is thoughtful, deliberate, and in control of their emotions. When to use silence strategically. During conflict, when emotions flare up, silence acts as a diffuser. It gives space for reflection, preventing impulsive reactions that could worsen the situation. Instead of arguing, imagine responding with silence, letting the other person's words echo in the room. Often, they'll start second-guessing themselves, adjusting their tone or even reconsidering their stance. When negotiating, silence makes others uncomfortable, which can work to your advantage. Many successful negotiators remain silent after making a proposal, allowing the other party to speak first, often revealing more than they intended or even offering better terms just to fill the void. In decision-making, stepping back into silence before making a choice creates clarity. We often rush decisions due to external pressures, But taking time to sit in stillness ensures that choices come from a place of wisdom rather than impulse. To command presence and respect. Have you noticed that the people who speak the least are often the ones everyone listens to when they finally do speak? That's because silence builds an aura of thoughtfulness and authority. Those who use silence wisely command respect without demanding it. The power of pause, Warren Buffett's strategy of silence. Warren Buffett is one of the most successful investors of all time. And yet, what sets him apart isn't just his knowledge. It's his patience and use of silence. Unlike traders who react impulsively to market shifts, Buffett observes. He reads, he reflects, and he rarely speaks unless he has something valuable to say. When making investment decisions, he doesn't get caught up in the noise of speculation. Instead, he sits in silence, analyzing data and waiting for the right opportunity. His silence isn't passive, it's intentional, and that's what allows him to make decisions that have stood the test of time. Imagine if we applied this in our own lives. What if, instead of reacting instantly to problems or criticism, we paused? What if we sat in silence before making a major decision? How much wiser would our choices be? Practical ways to implement strategic silence. Pause before reacting. The next time someone says something that triggers you, resist the urge to respond immediately. Take a deep breath, let silence settle in, and then choose your words carefully. Listen more than you speak. Instead of thinking about what you're going to say next in a conversation, focus entirely on what the other person is saying. Silence creates space for deeper understanding. Practice silence before making important decisions. Whether it's a career change, a financial investment, or a personal choice, spend time in complete stillness before deciding. Let the answer come to you rather than chasing it. Embrace silence in daily life. Take moments throughout the day where you sit in silence, not as an absence, but as a tool to recharge, reflect, and cultivate clarity. Silence is not just the absence of words, it is a statement in itself. Used wisely, it can be a source of strength, control, and wisdom. What if, instead of fearing silence, we started to see it as a superpower? What if we allowed silence to be the space where clarity, wisdom, and understanding take root? The next time you find yourself in a conversation, in a conflict, or facing a decision, pause. Give silence a seat at the table and watch how the world around you begins to change. 4. Detaching from the need for validation. Have you ever caught yourself waiting for someone to acknowledge your achievements? Perhaps refreshing social media to see how many likes your latest post received? Or seeking approval from friends, family, or colleagues before truly believing in your own worth. It's a common human experience, but one that can quietly drain our confidence and peace of mind. Buddhism teaches that the need for validation is like a mirage. It keeps us chasing something that will never truly satisfy us. The more we rely on external approval, the more fragile our sense of self becomes. True confidence doesn't come from being seen, liked, or praised. It comes from within. Why we crave validation. Social conditioning. From childhood, we are taught to seek approval. Good grades earn praise, social behaviors are rewarded, and we internalize the idea that our worth is dependent on others' perceptions. Fear of rejection. Being liked makes us feel secure. Many people conform or suppress their true selves out of fear that they won't be accepted. Comparison culture. Social media intensifies the need for validation, showing us curated versions of others' successes and making us feel like we need to prove our worth to keep up. But what if you didn't need external validation to feel worthy? What if you could walk through life with quiet confidence, knowing that your value isn't determined by likes, promotions, or applause? Building self-worth without approval. Focus on personal progress, not public praise. The real measure of success isn't what others think, but how you feel about the journey you're on. Celebrate achievements privately. Learn to find joy in your own progress without needing an audience. Small, quiet victories matter just as much as public ones. Develop a supportive inner dialogue. Instead of seeking reassurance from others, cultivate an inner voice that uplifts and affirms you. The silent success of J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling's story is a powerful example of breaking free from the need for validation. Before becoming one of the most successful authors in history, She faced rejection from multiple publishers. She could have let those rejections define her, could have sought validation by giving up and following a safer path. But she didn't. She wrote for herself. She believed in her craft even when no one else did. Had she depended on external validation, the world might never have known Harry Potter. But because she trusted her own worth, she persevered. And eventually, the world caught up. Actionable strategies to break free from external validation. Journal about your own achievements. Keep a record of your progress, not for others, but for yourself. Reflect on how far you've come and let that be enough. Avoid oversharing your goals. Many people talk about their plans more than they take action. Instead of seeking validation before you've even started, let your results speak for themselves. Set personal standards. Define success on your own terms, rather than by societal expectations. Ask yourself, what truly fulfills me? A thought to reflect on. If no one saw your success, no applause, no recognition, would you still pursue it? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. And if not, perhaps it's time to shift your focus inward, to build a sense of self-worth that doesn't depend on the fleeting approval of others. 5. The art of strategic withdrawal. Sometimes moving forward requires stepping back. We often believe that progress means relentless action, constant engagement, and always pushing forward. But wisdom teaches us otherwise. Strategic withdrawal is not about giving up. It's about knowing when to conserve energy, protect your mental well-being, and focus on what truly matters. Signs you need to step back. Feeling drained by constant engagement. If every interaction leaves you exhausted, it's a sign that your energy is being depleted faster than you can replenish it. Being trapped in toxic environments. Some situations and relationships drain us more than they nourish us. When toxicity becomes a pattern, stepping back can be the healthiest choice. Experiencing decision fatigue. When your mind is cluttered and every choice feels overwhelming, withdrawal can provide the clarity needed to reset. Why strategic withdrawal is a strength. The world often glorifies hustle and perseverance, but those who truly understand success recognize the power of retreat. The most skilled chess players don't just focus on attacking. They also know when to step back and reposition for a stronger move. Think of an archer pulling back the bow. That moment of withdrawal isn't hesitation, it's preparation. Without that backward motion, the arrow wouldn't gain the force it needs to reach its target. Life works in the same way. Sometimes we must pull back to move forward with precision and power. Case study: Buddhist monks' retreats. Buddhist monks regularly retreat into solitude, not as an escape, but as a way to reconnect with clarity and purpose. In these periods of silence, they reflect, meditate, and purify their minds from external distractions. This isn't about avoiding responsibilities, but about strengthening their ability to engage meaningfully with the world when they return. Monks understand that to cultivate inner peace and wisdom, one must occasionally withdraw from the noise. When their dot emerge, they bring with them newfound insight and a renewed sense of purpose. Imagine if we, too, could step away from the chaos, even for a short time, and return with a deeper sense of clarity. Practical ways to withdraw intentionally. Limit social media exposure. Take breaks from the endless stream of opinions, news, and curated perfection. Silence the noise to reconnect with your own thoughts. Set firm boundaries in relationships. Not all relationships are meant to be constant. It's okay to step back from connections that drain you rather than uplift you. Take periodic breaks from obligations. Whether it's work, social commitments, or daily routines, allow yourself moments of pause. This could be a day of solitude, a weekend without plans, or even a few hours of intentional stillness. Engage in deep reflection. Use time away to ask yourself meaningful questions. What truly matters to me? What am I holding onto that no longer serves me? What do I need to let go of to move forward? The strength in letting go. Many of us fear stepping back because we equate it with failure. But what if letting go was actually an act of strength? What if taking a step back allowed us to move in the direction that truly aligns with our purpose? Think of a river. When water encounters an obstacle, it doesn't force its way through. It flows around, adjusting its path with ease. This is the wisdom of strategic withdrawal. It's not about resisting or forcing outcomes. It's about adapting, preserving energy, and moving forward with intention. A thought to reflect on. If you could step back from one thing in your life right now, an exhausting habit, a draining relationship, an overwhelming obligation, what would it be? And how might that space allow you to grow? The greatest progress isn't always made by pushing forward. Sometimes the most powerful move is knowing when to pause, realign, and come back stronger. 6. Let results speak louder than words. We live in a world where people are often measured by how loudly they announce their plans rather than by what they actually accomplish. It's tempting to share our ambitions, to tell others about our next big move, hoping for encouragement or validation. But what if we let our results do the talking instead? Silence in action is one of the most powerful tools for success. The most remarkable individuals in history, visionaries, leaders, and thinkers, didn't spend their energy broadcasting every step they took. Instead, they worked diligently, consistently, and let their achievements speak for themselves. Why quiet effort leads to greater success. Eliminates unnecessary pressure. When you keep your goals private, you avoid the added stress of external expectations and judgment. Allows for genuine growth without distraction. Talking about plans can create an illusion of progress, but real success comes from doing the work. Builds authentic confidence. Confidence isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about knowing your own capabilities through experience and results. The silent builders of great empires. Many of the most influential figures in history understood this principle well. Consider Steve Jobs. Before the launch of the first iPhone, there were no grand announcements, no social media teasers, just quiet, relentless work behind the scenes. When the product was finally revealed, it spoke for itself, changing the world in an instant. Warren Buffett, one of the most successful investors in history, follows a similar philosophy. He doesn't boast about his next investment move or make grand predictions. He simply studies, reflects, and makes calculated decisions that stand the test of time. These individuals show us that when we pour our energy into meaningful work rather than seeking attention, the results will naturally draw the recognition they deserve. How to implement this mindset. Set goals privately and work on them diligently. Your dreams don't need an audience to be real. Keep them sacred and let your progress unfold naturally. Avoid discussing plans until real progress is made. Premature announcements can create external pressure and even diminish motivation. Embrace consistency over public declarations. True success is built on quiet, daily effort. Show up, do the work, and trust the process. A thought to reflect on. If you stopped announcing your goals and simply worked on them, how would your progress change? What would happen if, instead of seeking validation, you let your achievements speak for themselves? The strongest messages are often unspoken. The greatest victories are those that don't need to be declared. And the most powerful successes are the ones that happen when no one is watching. 7. Finding freedom in not reacting. Have you ever felt the pull to respond immediately when someone criticizes you, challenges your beliefs, or provokes an emotional reaction? It's almost as if we are conditioned to react, to defend ourselves, to fight back, to prove something. But what if I told you that true freedom comes from not reacting at all? We often assume that reacting quickly is a sign of strength, but in reality, impulsive reactions can drain our energy, create unnecessary conflicts, and take us further from peace. Non-reactivity, on the other hand, is not about being passive, it's about being in control. It is the ability to choose your response rather than being controlled by your emotions. Why non-reactivity is powerful. Prevents emotional exhaustion. Every reaction costs energy. The more we react to things that don't serve us, the more drained we become. Strengthens self-discipline. When you train yourself to pause before reacting, you develop mastery over your emotions and thoughts. Encourages mindful responses over impulsive reactions. Instead of being a slave to emotional triggers, you gain the ability to respond with clarity and wisdom. The wisdom of the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama once shared that when he encounters criticism or negativity, he doesn't react immediately. Instead, he reflects. He asks himself, is this criticism valid? If yes, I should learn from it. If no, then it's not worth my energy. Imagine how different our lives would be if we approached every situation with this level of awareness. Instead of reacting to negativity, we would pause, reflect, and respond only when necessary. Techniques to cultivate non-reactivity. Pause before responding. The next time someone says something that triggers you, don't respond immediately. Take a deep breath. Allow yourself a moment to choose your words or choose silence. Practice mindful breathing. Whenever you feel emotions rising, focus on your breath. This simple act grounds you in the present moment and creates space between stimulus and response. Reflect on long-term consequences. Ask yourself, will this matter a year from now? If not, it's probably not worth an emotional reaction. Detach from external drama. Not everything needs your attention. If a situation does not align with your peace, step away without feeling the need to engage. A thought to reflect on. How much energy have you wasted reacting to things that didn't truly matter? What would happen if, instead of reacting, you observed and responded only when necessary? The next time life tests you, try something new, choose silence over reaction. In that silence, you'll find wisdom, strength, and a deeper sense of peace than you've ever known. As we come to the end of this journey, I invite you to take a moment to reflect. How can you integrate more silence into your life? What small step can you take today to harness the power of stillness for greater clarity and success? Silence is not emptiness. It is a gateway to wisdom. It is the space where growth happens, where self-mastery begins, and where we discover our deepest truths. By embracing silence, we open ourselves to transformation. One moment, one breath at a time. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to like this video, comment below with your thoughts, and share it with someone who might need this wisdom today. Let's continue spreading the light of mindful living and self-discovery. Until next time, stay present, stay mindful, and embrace the power of silence.